Reasonable adjustments and workplace responsibilities. What is a reasonable adjustment? Under the Equality Act 2010, a reasonable adjustment is a legal duty placed on employers, service providers, education providers, and public bodies to remove barriers that may put disabled people at a substantial disadvantage compared to non-disabled people. A reasonable adjustment is any change or support that helps ensure equality of access, opportunity, and dignity for a person with a disability, including those with learning disabilities or autism. The purpose is to enable them to live, work, study, or access services on an equal footing with others. Key features of a reasonable adjustment. Proactive and anticipatory. Organizations should anticipate and plan for the needs of disabled people, not wait for requests. Tailored to individual needs, adjustments must be person-centered. What is reasonable for one individual may not be suitable for another. Applies to policies, practices, and physical environments. Examples of reasonable adjustments. Providing easy read or plain language documents. Allowing extra time for appointments or assessments. Offering quiet spaces or sensory adaptations for individuals with autism. Modifying work duties or hours for a person with learning disabilities. Using visual aids, symbols, or alternative communication methods. Reasonableness depends on the effectiveness of the adjustment in overcoming the disadvantage, the practicality of making the change, the cost and resources available to the organization, the size and nature of the organization or service. Failure to make reasonable adjustments, where required, may constitute unlawful discrimination under the Equality Act. For care workers, recognizing and supporting such adjustments is essential for ensuring inclusive, dignified, and legally compliant care. The support needs of people with a learning disability or autism. People with a learning disability. Individuals with a learning disability may experience significant challenges in communication, comprehension, and social understanding. They often require more time to process information, respond to questions, and may find it difficult to sequence tasks or events. Everyday interactions can sometimes be overwhelming, particularly in unfamiliar or high-pressure situations. Many people with a learning disability are more suggestible or vulnerable to exploitation, bullying, and abuse, whether physical, emotional, sexual, psychological, or financial. New or unfamiliar settings, such as hospital visits, police custody, or court appearances, can heighten anxiety or confusion. This may result in distress, withdrawal, agitation, or behavioral changes such as silence or emotional outbursts. They may need practical support with tasks such as concentrating for extended periods, communicating or explaining their thoughts, filling out forms or written documentation, following verbal or written instructions, attending and remembering appointments, managing domestic tasks, for example, budgeting, cooking, cleaning, reading and understanding written information, understanding social expectations or norms, using public transport confidently, telling the time or following schedules. People with autism. Individuals with autism may face challenges in understanding or using both verbal and nonverbal communication. They often interpret language literally, which can make idioms, sarcasm, or humor difficult to understand. Communication barriers may include difficulty interpreting facial expressions or tone of voice, challenges in using or recognizing gestures and body language, struggling to express or identify emotions in themselves or others. Navigating social situations may be particularly challenging, and many individuals with autism require support in building and maintaining social relationships. Sensory sensitivities are also common. Bright lights, loud noises, or busy environments can easily lead to sensory overload. Reasonable adjustments, such as quieter environments or visual supports, are often needed. Some people with autism use repetitive behaviors often called stimming, such as hand flapping, rocking, or vocal sounds as a way of self-regulation. Others may find it difficult to adapt to new routines or changes in familiar procedures. Supporting individuals with autism often involves clear, literal, and unambiguous communication. Preparing in advance for any changes to routine. Using visual aids, timetables, or structured plans. Allowing extra processing time and avoiding time pressure. Adjustments in communication and environment. Creating inclusive and supportive care environments for individuals with learning disabilities or autism requires proactive adjustments in communication, physical space, and procedural design. These adaptations ensure equal access, reduce distress, and promote autonomy. Care workers have a key role in recognizing needs and implementing reasonable, personalized adjustments. 1. Communication adjustments. Effective communication is essential for safe and respectful care. Individuals with learning disabilities or autism may process information differently or require support to express themselves. Adjustments in how information is presented can significantly improve understanding and cooperation. Key strategies include visual timetables, structured daily routines presented in picture or symbol format, for example. PECs help reduce anxiety and provide predictability. Simplified language. Use clear, plain English. Avoid jargon, abstract concepts, idioms, or sarcasm. For example, say "I will go to the doctor now" instead of "it's time for your appointment." Chunking information. Break down complex tasks or instructions into smaller, manageable steps, delivered slowly and clearly. Visual prompts. Use of flashcards, signs, photos, or written cues can reinforce understanding and provide nonverbal alternatives. Consistency in language and tone. Predictable language and calm tone help minimize confusion and sensory distress. 2. Environmental adjustments. The sensory environment has a profound impact on individuals with autism or sensory processing difficulties. Thoughtful environmental design and flexibility can reduce anxiety and behavioral challenges. Adjustments may include quiet spaces. Providing access to low stimulation areas helps individuals self-regulate and avoid sensory overload in noisy or busy settings. Lighting adaptations. Use of soft, natural lighting or adjustable fixtures can reduce sensory discomfort. Fluorescent light should be avoided where possible due to flickering and buzzing. Noise reduction. Carpets, curtains, and acoustic panels help absorb sound. Offering noise-cancelling headphones can also support individuals with heightened auditory sensitivity. Visual layout. Clear signage, color coding, and uncluttered spaces promote spatial understanding and reduce confusion. 3. Procedural adjustments. Standard procedures may not suit every individual. Flexibility in routines and service delivery is essential for equitable care. Examples of procedural adjustments. Extended appointment times. Allowing longer or double-length appointments ensures time for processing, calm communication, and reduced pressure. Sensory breaks. Incorporate opportunities for individuals to leave overstimulating environments, engage in soothing activities, or take part in sensory regulation routines. Flexible scheduling. Offering appointments at quieter times of day, for example, first or last slot, can prevent distress from crowded waiting areas. Clear preparation. Use social stories, visuals, or preparatory conversations to explain upcoming events, reducing unpredictability and anxiety. These adjustments are not one-size-fits-all, they must be tailored in collaboration with the individual and/or their advocate. Care workers should observe, listen, and adapt consistently, promoting dignity, confidence, and independence through thoughtful support. Promoting effective communication for people with learning disabilities and autism. Introduction: Why communication matters. Communication is how we share our thoughts, feelings, and needs with others. It helps us make choices, stay safe, feel respected, and build relationships. For people with learning disabilities or autism, communicating may not always happen through words. But everyone has something to say, and we all deserve to be heard in a way that works for us. Without good communication support, people might feel left out, frustrated, or misunderstood. That's why carers, support workers, and others must use a range of tools and approaches to make communication easier and more equal. Total communication, using all the tools. Total communication means using every possible method to help someone understand and be understood. It is not one fixed method, but a flexible approach that includes speech, spoken words, signs and gestures, symbols, pictures, or photos, objects of reference, facial expressions and body language, technology like voice output devices or apps. There is no single right way to communicate. What matters is choosing what works best for the person you're with. For some people, pointing or showing you something is just as meaningful as speaking. This approach also means pausing before assuming that speech is the only or best way to communicate. All forms are valid and important. Barriers to understanding when messages aren't clear. Many people with learning disabilities or autism may find it difficult to understand spoken words. They might rely on familiar routines, watching others to know what's happening, physical cues, like someone standing up or handing over a coat. This can lead to misunderstanding. For example, a person might get up when others do, even if they didn't understand what was said. So it's important not to assume someone has understood just because they copied an action. To help understanding, use short, clear sentences. Speak slowly and give time for the person to process. Avoid jokes, metaphors, or abstract ideas like break a leg or hold your horses. Use consistent words, for example, always say gran rather than changing between granny, nan, etc. Support spoken words with visuals, gestures, or the real object. Barriers to expression when people struggle to speak. Some people may use repeated phrases out of habit, not always related to the situation. Use behaviors to express needs, such as rocking, shouting, or hitting. Have trouble saying words clearly due to physical or neurological differences, for example, cerebral palsy, stammering. These are still valid forms of communication. If a person bangs on a table when they're hungry, that's communication. Our job is to understand what they're trying to say. To support expression, be patient and allow plenty of time. Accept all types of communication without judgment. Avoid interrupting or finishing sentences for them. Use open questions to help someone express choices. Use pictures or photos to support conversation. Involve speech and language therapists where needed. Communication and behavior when actions speak. Sometimes behavior is the way a person communicates. If someone gets upset or acts out, it may be their way of saying, "I'm confused," "I'm hungry or in pain," "This place is too noisy." This is often called exotic communication, behaviors that might seem challenging but are actually messages. Staff must learn to listen to these behaviors and look for unmet needs, not just manage the behavior itself. Building better communication together. Good communication isn't only about talking. It's about creating a shared space where everyone feels heard and respected. This means allowing time for conversations, using tools that match the person's needs, learning from mistakes and improving your approach, being flexible, creative, and patient, always assuming the person has something to say. When communication works, people can make choices, feel confident, and be more independent. That's the heart of good support. Responsibilities of employers. Responsibilities under CQC Regulation 18, Staffing. CQC Regulation 18 is part of the Health and Social Care Act 2008 Regulated Activities Regulations 2014 and outline specific responsibilities for employers in care settings. In relation to reasonable adjustments, employer duties include ensuring a suitable and competent workforce. Employers must deploy enough qualified, skilled, and experienced staff to meet service users' diverse needs, including those requiring communication or environmental adjustments. Providing ongoing training. Staff must be trained to support people with learning disabilities and autism, including understanding how to tailor care and communication. Supporting professional development. Employers are required to provide opportunities for staff to develop knowledge and qualifications that enable the delivery of inclusive, person-centered care. Monitoring competence and supervision. Staff should receive regular supervision and appraisals to ensure they understand and implement reasonable adjustments in their daily roles. Reflecting care needs in staffing levels. Adjustments such as extended appointments or additional support for individuals with sensory sensitivities must be reflected in staffing plans and shift patterns. Responsibilities under the Equality Act 2010. The Equality Act 2010 imposes a legal duty on employers and service providers to eliminate discrimination and advance equality. Key responsibilities related to reasonable adjustments include anticipatory duty. Employers must anticipate the needs of disabled people, not wait until an individual experiences disadvantage. Adjustments should be embedded in service design and workforce planning. Making adjustments in 3 key areas: provisions, criteria, or practices. Modifying rigid policies that disadvantage disabled staff or service users. Physical features. Adapting environments to improve accessibility, for example, lighting, signage, quiet rooms. Auxiliary aids and services. Providing communication aids such as Mercaton, PECs, or simplified documents. Failure to make reasonable adjustments is unlawful, it constitutes discrimination under the Act, and employers may be held legally accountable. Involving the individual, adjustments must be person-centered, reflecting individual needs, preferences, and communication styles. The importance of personalizing care plans and support strategies. In health and social care, particularly when supporting individuals with learning disabilities or autism, personalization is not just best practice, it is a legal and ethical imperative. Personalized care planning ensures that the individual is placed at the center of their support, rather than being expected to fit into a one-size-fits-all model. People with learning disabilities and autism have unique needs, preferences, routines, communication styles, and life histories. A standardized approach can easily overlook these differences, leading to frustration, distress, and disengagement. Personalized care plans help to tailor communication, environment, sensory preferences, and support strategies in ways that respect the individual's autonomy and enhance their quality of life. Personalization also enables the recognition of strengths, not just needs. This might include exceptional memory, attention to detail, or deep knowledge in a particular area. Incorporating these strengths into activities and goals helps to boost confidence and engagement. Key benefits of personalized care include improved trust and rapport between staff and the individual, greater consistency in managing behaviors and routines, enhanced well-being through recognition of preferences and triggers, support that adapts to changing needs over time, empowerment and active participation in decision-making. Importantly, care planning should be co-produced, involving the person, their family or advocates, and the support team. This ensures the plan is not only accurate, but also meaningful. In short, personalizing support is vital to delivering truly responsive, respectful, and effective care. The Oliver McGowan Mandatory Training on Learning Disability and Autism. The Oliver McGowan mandatory training on learning disability and autism represents a critical development in improving how health and social care services understand and support individuals with learning disabilities and autism. This training is the first of its kind to be legally mandated in England and is underpinned by the Health and Care Act 2022. The training was introduced in response to the tragic death of Oliver McGowan, a young man with autism and a mild learning disability, who died following the administration of medication against his and his family's expressed wishes. Oliver's story highlighted the urgent need for more informed and respectful care, especially concerning decision-making, communication, and consent. Legal and policy context. The Health and Care Act 2022 now requires all CQC-registered service providers to ensure that their staff receive training on learning disability and autism appropriate to their role. The training aims to build awareness, challenge assumptions, and reduce health inequalities by equipping staff with practical tools to communicate effectively, support appropriately, and uphold rights and dignity. There are 2 tiers of training. Tier 1. For staff who require a general awareness, for example, administrative staff, receptionists, ancillary workers. Tier 2. For staff who provide direct care or support to people with autism or a learning disability, for example, nurses, care workers, social workers. This tiered model ensures that training is relevant, proportionate, and based on the level of responsibility and contact with individuals who require support. Relevance to reasonable adjustments. The training reinforces the need to understand and respond to communication needs, sensory sensitivities, and personal preferences when providing care. For instance, training encourages the use of visual timetables, plain language, and environmental adaptations to support inclusion and comfort. It focuses on understanding learning disability and autism, promoting equality, and challenging discrimination. By undertaking the Oliver McGowan training, care staff not only comply with legal standards but also enhance their ability to deliver person-centered, respectful, and safe care. Employer and staff responsibilities. All employers within CQC-regulated settings are responsible for identifying which tier of training each staff member requires, ensuring that all staff complete the appropriate level of training, keeping accurate records and evidence of training completion, embedding learning into practice through supervision, reflection, and team discussions. Staff members also share responsibility in applying what they have learned, speaking up if needs are not being met, and actively supporting service users in ways that preserve autonomy and dignity. Thank you. You have successfully made it to the end of this module.